Welcome to Encore, the show for and about Encore entrepreneurs by the Encore Entrepreneur Institute. We are here to talk about small business and entrepreneurship. So let's get started. Welcome our special guest today, Keri Gohman, Head of Small Business Banking at Capital One Spark Business. How are you, Keri?
I'm great. How are you, Janice?
I am fantastic. Today, we will be discussing small business trends for 2016. So let's get started. So Keri, let me ask you a few questions.
Sure.
What types of trends should we expect to see with small business funding this year? What's hot?
Well, let's just call it like it is. Anything that has to do with small business financing is always a hot topic for entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. 2016 is certainly no exception. As you can imagine, I talk with a lot of entrepreneurs on a regular basis, and I always hear two main questions. One is right now the right time to get financing and take on credit, as well as, how do I actually get started? And so when we talk about sort of is right now the right time, we have to talk about the economy and the political climate. Certainly there's a little bit of uncertainty around what's going to happen next. And that's given some small business owners pause as to whether or not now's the right time to take on credit. But one of the things that we evaluate is we have a survey called Spark Business Barometer, where we look at small business confidence indicators. And we've been monitoring that over the last 6 or 7 years. So we look at what are sales trends, how are hiring trends, how confident and optimistic are small business owners feeling. And what we've actually seen since the recession is a continued improvement in small business confidence. And so we're still at levels that are far above the recession. But we see that in 2015, towards the end of the year, as the political climate became a little bit more questionable, as the stock market became a little bit more questionable, that folks started to ask, we started to see a slight slowdown in demand. And so folks asking, gosh, is right now the right time to take on financing? But we still see a lot of interest and demand from business owners in the overall economy. So certainly taking that on is still something business owners are thinking about.
Right.
The second, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. We also hear from business owners, gosh, is right now the right time for me? And so the main advice that I give to business owners is to establish a relationship with someone that can really give you that advice and look at your individual business and decide and help you determine how to structure a loan and is right now the right time. And so that's actually a really important part of determining if the environment is right for your business. But right now is actually a great time to get loans if you want them. So interest rates are still low. Banks are still really interested in lending. The environment for credit is still pretty good. So if you do want to get a loan and the environment feels good for your business, it is a great time to access it. And getting a loan now is actually easier as well from a process perspective. So what we actually have seen is a real increase in use of technology to simplify the process of getting the loan itself. And so, as you can imagine, banks like ours at Capital One and others are starting to take advantage of technology. So, for example, if a business owner wants to get, maybe a small line of credit to really get started on an investment opportunity, or to have really that kind of comfort that they've got access to credit if they get a big change in business demand, we actually have a process that is 24 to 48 hours to acquire that loan with no documentation required. And so it's much easier to get a loan now than it might have been, even 3 or 4 years ago in terms of the process itself.
Well, that's good information. Thank you. That's great advice. Now, let me ask you, is it easier or best, I should say, to get a smaller loan and start with that if you're a new entrepreneur, and instead of going with a big capital type loan?
Yeah. That's a great question. And certainly, again, I kind of go back to each business is unique. So there's no rule of thumb that works for every single business. But certainly a really important thing to think about is how much debt do I want to take on if I'm a new entrepreneur? And, many entrepreneurs really don't take on debt early, right? They sort of use personal savings or financing. But if you are taking on debt, you want to do so cautiously, right? So you don't want to take on more than you're ready for. And usually that means starting small and then growing. And again, it's really helpful to establish a relationship with a banker or bank early on so they can get to know your business and help give you great advice along the way on how much you might want to be thinking about taking on and how soon to do so, because it certainly increases the obligation that your business is accountable for. And doing that too early, as we know, can be really challenging, particularly if the economy turns.
No, that's perfect advice. Thank you for that. Now, how should an entrepreneur properly prepare when approaching a financial institution like Capital One for funding? Do they need a business plan or collateral?
Yeah, so preparation is really important when you think about taking on financing. If you start with a relationship, and we certainly like to do that early here at Capital One, you get someone who really begins to understand your business. And when you come to the table to talk about the loan, the bank's going to really be assessing how they feel about your business and overall confidence in that plan. So absolutely come well prepared. Come with a plan that's very thoughtful about, that really talks about both the track record you've had as well as your plans for ongoing growth. So that's really important. The other thing that's really important is to bring financials. So really come with several years of financials prepared and bring more versus less. And your banker can also help you understand what financials would be helpful to understand and how the bank will view your financials over time, so that even if you're not ready to take on debt now, you can understand when you might be ready and what the bank will be looking for.
Right.
The last sort of piece of advice that I can give is know what the bank is going to be looking at. So the bank is actually going to be looking at your credit score. So we're going to be looking at your personal credit score. So you can go online and get that information for free. So I advise business owners to understand what that is and make sure the credit score looks clean. And there are some really great new tools, Janice, that help you get access to business scores. So you probably are familiar with your credit score on a consumer level. Banks look at similar data on a business level. There's a new tool that I really like called NAV, N-A-V. You can go online and for free access several different business scores that banks look at. Each bank has a slightly customized way of looking at it, but this is a great idea because now you have a sense for how the bank might assess your financials and what you might need to be prepared to do in order to really qualify for a loan.
Oh, that's good information. NAV, do you guys hear that? Is it so we can go on to this site and see what our business, how it ranks? That's pretty awesome. I like that idea. I'm going to have to check that out because I just started my own business last year, which is a speakers bureau, in addition to working as with Encore entrepreneurs. So I'm definitely going to go there and see what I can find. Now, what does Capital One have to offer small business owners that will help them be successful? Because we want to have kind of a partnership with the banks that we go to. So what do you guys have there to help entrepreneurs?
Well, I love that you use the word partnership because that's really where I would start. We really focus on Capital One, on creating a partnership with businesses. We want to help entrepreneurs be successful. I don't know how much you know about our history, but we were founded by an entrepreneur. He's still our CEO, so we're founder-led. So we know firsthand what it means to support entrepreneurs and the sort of power that can be unleashed when an entrepreneur is successful, but we also know how hard it is. And so the first thing we really try to offer to help business owners is great partnerships with our bankers, whether it's over the phone or in person, so that we can really invest in understanding your business over the long term and help you grow. We also try to offer forums with actionable insights. So if you want to learn about a particular topic, minimum wage, what you can expect from this political cycle, you can check out sparkbusinessiq.com. And that's a place where you can engage in conversations with other business owners and just get interesting information. So it's not really about Capital One products. It's really about the market in general and what's going on, things that would be useful to business owners.
And what was that website again? So I can just put it here.
sparkbusinessiq.com.
Business IQ. I'm going to have it in the description as well. And just INQ.com. Okay, got it. Yes. That should be it. So there it is right there. That's
excellent.
Great. Now, go ahead.
I'd also just add really quickly, like one of the things we definitely try to do to help support business owners as well is offer products and services that are great value. And so if you're interested in getting cash back on your business cards, a great way to sort of maximize your cash flow, we have 2% cash back. including and as well as products like savings accounts that offer the highest rates in the industry, around 1%, which is pretty high in today's market as well. So some great offerings for you to help get money back for and put your capital to work.
Right. For those who might watch this replay, I have to tell you, we have a live audience, and I just want to recognize that Barb T USA said to Keri, welcome to Blab, because she's one of your Spark Small Business customers. So we love to see that
Awesome.
You guys are participating. Thank you so much. And we do have a question from the audience. We'll get to you in a minute, Dane. Hang in there. Let me ask you, why is it a good time for someone to start a business today?
Yeah, well, a couple things. One is, as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking to start a business, we've still been on a road to recover from the recession. So it's still, about 35% of business owners, 35 to 40% say, hey, I'm expecting to see my business grow. Now's a great time for business conditions. So it's still a good economy, even though there's a bit of uncertainty. And so that's definitely one thing in the favor of small business owners as they look to start. The other thing I'll talk a little bit about is technology. So if you're looking to start a business, one of the things that's really fantastic about starting a business today is that the cost to actually start your business, to get launched with new technologies like accounting and payroll and business products with things like cloud technologies are actually much, much lower than they've been in the past. So about 65% of business owners are really doing things like taking advantage of cloud technology. That means you don't have to have all of that expensive IT infrastructure. You can actually get started really easily, really simply. And so the fact that you've got, a nice economic climate, some great technology that can help you start in your business really creates a nice environment, depending on the kind of business that you're in, to actually get started, and reduces the cost to enter and get going.
Great. Now, speaking of technology, what are some of the new technologies that small business owners should be considering to help them with this?
Yeah. Listen, there are a ton of technologies out there. There seems like there's a startup every other day. But what I will tell you is the best technologies are the ones that are really practical for business and help them with their two main challenges, right? How do I grow my business? And how do I make my business more efficient? So when we think about efficiency, certainly there are great accounting platforms like Xero or QuickBooks that are fantastic and really drive efficiency. And when you think about marketing, there are two things that I would say are really exciting that I encourage business owners to check out. We hear at least 80% of business owners say marketing is one of my major challenges, right? But very few are actually executing marketing campaigns or have the ability to do so. And a lot of it's just confusion of where to go or how to get started. We hear a lot of energy around social media. And so, customers now and consumers are actually digital. And so reaching them is different than it's been in the past. I know you know this very well. And social media is essential. And so there are tools out there designed just for small businesses. In fact, one of our clients is called Likeable Local. They actually have offerings just to help business owners reach consumers in their local economies. And so there are great tools, great companies out there that are focused just on small business.
Wow.
There are also some really great technologies that help you in reaching customers digitally, helping them check out, helping reach customers on Twitter and Yelp and Facebook, and products like HubSpot. And even at Capital One, we have a product called Spark Pay, where we'll actually help you build your website so you can sell online. Yeah. And help you check out, actually do commerce on Facebook and Twitter, right? And Pinterest, which is the next generation of how commerce is going to work. So there are some fabulous tools. Those are just a couple, but really powerful options for business.
Oh, I like that idea. We need all the help we can get. We really will take it. If you offer, I think we definitely should be taking advantage of that. Bart, go ahead.
I was going to say, many of those tools are available for free. So, I think part of the challenge is seeking them out, but there are a tremendous number of tools that are either available for free or fairly cost effective to actually get started. Again, given the rise of technology, it just makes life easier. And we see a huge shift in businesses taking advantage of things like mobile apps. I think historically, just 2 years ago, 30% of business owners were using mobile apps to actually run business processes. Today, that number is closer to 60. That's just in 2 short years. So wonderful technologies that if you adopt them can really make your business more efficient and much simpler.
Okay. I just want to let our live guests know that we will be answering questions. So this is the time to think of your question, post it with /Q, and then we'll get your question over. I do see we have one question pending, and I will ask that in just a bit. So just hang in there with me. So Keri, let me ask you this question, because I am a Capital One customer personally. Is it an easy transition if I wanted to take my business into the Capital One world? Is it how easy is it to do that? And does it help that I have a personal account that's in good standing with Capital One?
Absolutely. So signing up for an account and engaging with us is really simple. We will certainly, of course, we want to help you make any transition to Capital One, and you can do that in two ways. You can go online and check out products and sign up simply and easily digitally. So you can even sign up for a checking account in as little as 5 minutes. So we want to make things easy for business. We know how busy you are, and we want to make banking simple, right? Something you don't have to think about. And you can always call us, and we'll actually help you with that process. If you're in an area where there's a branch, just drop by, and we'll actually help you get set up right there in the branch. As easy as possible. Certainly having a personal account is great. We have your information. We have a history with you, so that makes signing up a bit simpler as well. But again, our goal is to make it easy for you to do your banking. And so we try to take as much of that burden off of you as possible through simple processes, as well as people that you can talk to help.
Great. We busy business owners like easy. So easy and fast, if we can get it done and be effective, that's great. Now, Dane asked, do you work with disabled vets and their challenges?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we actually have a few programs where we work specifically with vets. I'll give you one example, which is one that's near and dear to my heart that I've had the opportunity to be personally involved in, which is Count Me In, which is about women entrepreneurs who are also veterans. And hearing their story is just unbelievable, but we provide them and are part of the Count Me In organization, providing support, capital, and also engaging with them from a grant perspective as well. And so we have a number of programs that are like that. And I think one of the most important parts, as you talked about, is how to make things easy. And a lot of that comes with the support on how do I get started, the advice and the guidance. One other program that's not specifically for vets, but that I think is really amazing is about getting mentors for business owners. And one of the things that we learned is that only 8% of business owners take advantage of a mentor. And as you know, right, so surprising trend. As you know, running a business is tough, right? You usually get in because you're passionate about what you do, but there's a whole bunch of other things you have to learn about when you get started. And there's a program that we're invested in called businessadvising.org. And it's think about it like a matchmaking service between people that are experts in their field and entrepreneurs who need expertise. And so it's a wonderful way for folks to connect to entrepreneurs and give their time. So we have folks in our organization who are credit experts that give their time and advice, or marketing experts, along with many other folks from other industries, and we get matched up with entrepreneurs who are looking for specific advice. So I'd encourage you, if you're looking for advice on any topic, to check that out as well.
I'm a big proponent for mentors. So that's one of the things we totally advocate here for at Encore Entrepreneur Institute, because a lot of our entrepreneurs are older, so they might lack in areas like social media. So you don't have to be their age or older to mentor even someone older. So I try to encourage even young people to mentor an older entrepreneur to help them out with things like social media and the internet, so that they feel comfortable with marketing. So
that's a really great point. And sometimes we don't always know folks in our direct network that are experts in that topic. And so that's one way to find them. And you know as well as I do that the sort of power of networking in your local area and connecting with entrepreneurs locally is also another great way to get connected with a mentor. And I've usually found that entrepreneurs are some of the best networkers I've ever met.
Have you found that service industries are more difficult to get financing for than than maybe a product type or manufacturing type industry? Because Dane said that he's 100% service connected, so he finds a lot of times getting credit difficult.
You know, I would say that credit is, getting credit is really dependent on each business's individual situation. I think it is much less about the specific industry and much more about the business plan and the track record. Now, as you know, financials are certainly impacted by industry trends, and growth is impacted by the type of industry you're in. But each entrepreneur's situation is unique, and it really is about their potential as well as their history. And a service business is just as likely to have, we would assess a service business the same way we would assess a construction business. The trajectory of the businesses may be different based on the kind of industry that they're in, though.
Absolutely. So, Dane, we're going to have a show coming up soon about doing a great business plan that's successful, that you will be able to take into Capital One with your financials and hopefully get that loan or credit that you're looking for. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, Janice, I should also mention one thing. If Dane's had some trouble getting access to lending in the past, one thing you might want to check out is a small business administration loan. There are a number of banks that are certified to provide SBA loans. Of course, at Capital One, we are as well. But these are loans that are backed by the government. And sometimes what that means is we're able to extend loans to customers that might not have as strong a track record or as long a track record. And it's a wonderful opportunity and something that I would encourage him to check out.
That's great advice. And I hope if he needs that, he will definitely follow up with the Small Business Association to get that small business loan. So that would be great. Let me ask you, someone else asked about, is there any specifics that you can give them about financing for franchises? Because that seems to be a big thing these days, especially with our older entrepreneurs too, is that they really like franchises. So can you give any words of wisdom about that?
Yeah, the advice is largely the same, right? Come in with that plan and also, again, that track record of support. I think what's great about franchises is sometimes it's easier to develop the plan, right? Because there's a lot more support in place. And certainly there is a track record that the franchise, that the other franchises have had that can actually help lend credibility to what you're bringing in. And so if you're having a conversation about a franchise, I encourage you to share your history from a financing perspective, your individual business plan, but also the broader connection to the main company, as well as how other franchises have done, because it also helps lend credibility to your story about how you believe your business will perform over time. So it really becomes about credibility and confidence. And I think franchises have maybe a strong underpinning to drive that.
Right. Now, she asked another question, but I'm going to make it a little more general. Are there any businesses that you would not finance? There are some industries from a regulatory perspective that we unfortunately have to steer clear of, but we would like to participate very broadly. And I would encourage you, if you have a business that you are curious about and you're not sure if you would qualify for financing, go in and talk to the bank and ask. Usually it's really about the individual business situation aside from any regulatory concerns. That's a great answer, great advice. Let me ask you now, you talked about applying online for different types of things. What actual type of financing can we apply for online? I know you have loans and, what else do you have that we could consider?
Absolutely. So when it comes to financing, certainly you can fill out some information online and come in. There are a number of companies that will complete apps online as well, both traditional banks as well as some non-traditional financing players and peer-to-peer lending, right, which is certainly a new trend as well that we're hearing about. So that makes applying for lending fairly simple. When you think about applying online and banking products, you can also go online and apply for really every product that we offer. So, whether it's credit cards or the commerce products that I was talking about, if you want to sell products in store or online, as well as checking account and savings accounts. So our goal, again, with technology is to make it as easy as possible for a business owner to deal with their banking and get back to running their business and the important stuff.
Right. No, that's great. Now, what happens once we do this process? Can you kind of walk us through generally what we can expect to happen once we apply?
Apply for a loan?
Apply for a loan.
Yeah. So I'd encourage you, I think one of the important things is, when you apply for a loan, if you apply online or in person, is that conversation with a banker to make sure that we understand your individual needs. So even if you fill out some information online, we're going to want to talk to you to understand your individual situation. And this is true for most banks. There are some situations, depending on the size of the loan, that you could get an instant, or fairly quick approval online. If it's a more complicated loan, we want to know your story. We want to understand a little bit more about your business, and we want to customize the product to you. And I think that's actually really important to make sure that the product works, that you like the terms and the situation. And you can choose to talk with someone in person or chat with someone on the phone. And then depending on the size of loan, there may be some additional paperwork that's required or financial history. In some cases, if the loan is fairly simple, as I said, there is no documentation required, and you could receive approval and the actual funds very quickly within 28 or 48 hours. But for a more complex loan, we would go through a process with you to really understand your requirements, to actually take a deeper look at your business, and then actually close the loan. But usually that's fairly quick, just a few weeks. We try to make, again, that as fast and simple and automated as possible so that it works for your business.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Now, we are still taking questions. We have a little less than 5 minutes left. So this is your last chance, last call for questions. So bring them and put them right in the box with the /Q, and it will pop up in my box over here, and I will help and try to answer as many as we can before our 4 minutes is up. Now 3 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Gloria just asked, how significantly does a credit rating play into getting a loan?
It's important. So Gloria, like I said, you want to understand your personal credit history. So go look at your credit score. We're going to be looking at, do you have a great track record? And what does that, and what has your history been? Do you make payments on time? Do you have a lot of debt? And again, I'll encourage you to check out products like NAV. There are other ones out there, but check out your business credit scores as well. So what does your business health look like? What will banks be looking at? And make sure that both really look clean if you're ready to take on debt. Now, I'll also encourage you guys, the answer is not always to take on debt. I see a comment up there around venture capital. There are lots of ways to get investment in your business. Taking on a loan is one way, but you can also get investment from many other sources. And you want to make sure that getting a loan is the right answer for your business and the right timing for your business.
That sounds absolutely great. Now, let me ask you, Keri, just one last thing. This will be my last question, unless someone else has a question. Is there anything else that you would add or advice to give to entrepreneurs or business owners looking for financing?
Yeah, listen, I think the best advice I can give you is to make sure you're ready for it. Get a relationship established with a bank early. We have a number of clients who we've been with since they started, and that really gives us the ability to be deeply invested in the work that they do and grow with them over time and understand the direction of the business. So the very best advice I have is, make sure you go in with, make sure you've got a great business plan. Make sure you've got a great set of partners. A bank is only one partner. There's also, your accountant, your lawyer. So make sure you've set up your team. We want to be a part of that team, but having that team is really important as you get started, and really important to do early on, not just when you're ready for that next stage of growth.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Keri, for coming on Encore, the show for entrepreneurs. I want to invite everyone to join us next Monday at 8 p.m. So we're on a little later, same place. We'll be back with lots of valuable business information. And if you just signed on, because I see some people just signing on, what you can do is watch the replay at this same link later on. And please don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Encore Institute, not Encore Book, and on Blab. I really appreciate you all coming and watching the show. Take care.
Thank you so much.